And we are live. Welcome. A warm welcome on behalf of Dina Rediger and myself to Thursdays at noon Central, 1 p.m. LinkedIn Live, where we are interviewing our contributing authors to this banner book, Healing Healthcare, Evidence-Based Strategies to Mend Our Broken System. We are thrilled that you're with us today.
Thank you so much.
Nurses remain the backbone of healthcare, and little has been done or even studied to remedy a system that is clearly in crisis. If we don't address this problem now, humankind will suffer. Our new book, due out October 22nd, is packed with solutions to the problems that plague healthcare systems today. These are the problems that lead to troubling sentiments among prospective nurses. Nurse leaders and healthcare leaders share their experiences, their thoughts, their evidence, and their strategies to ensure the health of our healthcare. What you will find within these pages are actionable steps for fixing a system that is suffering in silence. We need your help in getting this book into the hands of those making the decisions. But before we start, we want to acknowledge you and thank you for joining us today. We have viewers from across the globe, so please use the chat. Let us know where you're from, and if you see this in replay, we will still comment and respond. Today, I am so pleased to welcome our special guest and a contributor to the Wisdom section, Vice President and Dean of the Purdue Global School of Nursing, Melissa Burdi. Melissa is an experienced executive in higher education and has led major service lines in patient care service settings in various metropolitan healthcare systems. She has a wide range of experience, including establishing strategic partnerships, increasing quality, safety, and high reliability in acute care, process improvement, leadership development, and cardiovascular care. She also holds a Six Sigma classification. In 2019, she was appointed a nursing fellow with the American Association of Colleges of Nursing. Welcome, Melissa. I am so pleased to welcome you today. How are you?
I am great, Sharon. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
Great. I want to start with a question. It's the question we ask everyone. Why did you say yes? Why are you involved?
Well, how could I not say yes? This is just such a wonderful opportunity to collaborate. I think it's been a privilege to come together with so many experts, and I felt compelled to really be part of the solution, taking a deeper look at our healthcare delivery system, what the opportunities were, and more importantly, what the solutions are. So when we think about designing a workforce, we often think about the structure, the people, the processes, and the outcomes. And it's time that we look at history, we study what we've learned, and really take that and really design a new future, one that is relevant, one that's functional. I think it is an opportunity for us to create a culture of well-being. And we go into great detail about this in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And then listening to the wisdom. So when we think about the workforce, the well-being, the wisdom, listening to the wisdom of others, those that are in the healthcare setting currently, what are the opportunities? What are the bottlenecks? What are the pain points? How do we solve for those? How do we design a model that is more supportive to our patients, to our communities, and to our fellow healthcare providers? And so I am really excited to have been part of this amazing opportunity because I think that each of us plays a role in leading action and being part of the solution and the change. It's been great.
Well, that sounds like the ultimate innovation, and I surely want to be a part of that. There's no question whatsoever. And I know you're heavily involved in that space. You talked, Melissa, about nurses being the largest voice of the U.S. healthcare system. How will purposeful connection between leaders and nurses generate engagement? And what are you doing on the academic side to ensure that that happens?
Yeah, absolutely, Sharon. Our voices matter. We are 4 million nurses strong, and we hope to continue to grow that number. And being that we are the largest segment of the healthcare workforce, what we say and how we advocate for change, it really matters, both at the micro level, the macro level, and even at the meso level in between. And so connecting with our teams to understand, again, as I spoke earlier about the bottlenecks and the opportunities of how we practice, how we provide patient care, how we educate those as they either become nurses or are advancing in their trajectory of their profession is so important. So when we think about academia, in the academic space, we, number one, incorporate elements of self-care within the curriculum because it really does start within. When we think about creating a culture of well-being, we have to engage in habits of well-being ourselves first and foremost. So we incorporate elements of that into our curriculum, and we are specific by design to talk about the healthcare delivery model, the workforce conditions. How do we maintain patient safety? How do we be the best version of ourselves as registered nurses in a variety of settings? So we look at the evidence. We teach our students to examine the evidence. We identify ways to improve patient care, developing new protocols. We look at outcomes, whether it's patient outcomes, community outcomes, and we develop best practices. And those are best practices. We teach our students how to engage in that work so that when they are transitioning into the clinical environment or they're advancing their practice in their clinical environment, they understand how to approach, again, a safe workforce, create a culture of well-being, and ultimately engage in active listening to those around them, their teams, reflecting themselves and how we can improve care, how we can improve our patient outcomes. And it all starts with in the academic environment as we're teaching our students how to engage in those behaviors purposefully and with intention.
I love that response. So you're renowned for your work as a dean. You've done some amazing work, and it's a privilege to be by your side on the Purdue Advisory Board. I want to know, sometimes we say that there is this intersection between academia and practice that doesn't quite work, that sometimes that missing piece, that collaborative effort is just not there. What do you do in your role to ensure that it is there and that it's there to stay?
Well, thank you first off for your comment. I think that what you're addressing today hits the nail on the head. It is an intersection, but it needs to be a holistic approach. And so we are often really thought of as being at the front end of healthcare, and that we are creating a pipeline of nurses, but we must engage with our healthcare partners to understand, number one, are they receiving what they need in terms of nurses providing bedside care? Are the nurses that we're preparing, are they able to transition into practice effectively? Do they have the skill set, the knowledge base that is relevant to today? And so having relationships with healthcare partners at all levels, with the chief nurses of the healthcare systems, with the directors of the service lines, with the educators supporting the service lines, and with the leaders and staff on each of the units, and being able to connect with all of them and connect with our faculty, and having that open, honest dialogue with how our students are and how they are being trained and prepared essentially to transition into the workforce. Those conversations are really important, not only to me, but as a academia in general. And when we think about being partners, active partners with our healthcare institutions, those conversations are really the start.
Yeah, they are. And it is really about partnership. So I know that during COVID, the opportunity for clinical practicums was really at an all-time low. It was a challenge across the board, across the country, probably across the world. That issue has pretty much resolved itself. And do you really feel as if you're turning out the nurses we need for this generation, the next generation, and beyond? Are
Yeah, we
you
learned a
confident?
lot. We
Yeah,
we learned a lot during that time for sure. And that's a clear example of where communication was vital, it was critical. Um, a lot of the clinical practice experiences had to shift to being virtual. And so we relied on our virtual capabilities, which are rather sophisticated and
yeah,
advanced,
they are.
innovative, right? We certainly have done a lot of that at Purdue Global, and I'm very proud of our team and the work that we've done. And what we learned, though, in conversation with our partners was during that particular vulnerable period of time, graduates were, or students turned graduates were really um, uh, stripped of their ability to complete practice experiences in person. And so we had to shift in how we were approaching our learning so that we could ensure our graduates were still prepared for safe practice. And so we've learned a lot. It really is a balance between completing skills in person, engaging in a variety of virtual modalities of learning, and of course, assessing the readiness and working with our healthcare partners to ensure that what we are doing on the academic front does in fact prepare graduates to be engaging in safe, competent, and high quality practice. That's really important, meeting the needs of not only the institution, but of course, our patients, our communities, wherever the nurse is practicing. And so we engage in active listening to really assess and we've done this during the pandemic. We continue to do this, and we engage in that continuous quality improvement, which puts us on a trajectory of ongoing learning. And we're able to be very agile and pivot and ensure that we are never compromising quality. We're always engaging in safety, and we're meeting the needs of our learners and our healthcare partners.
And that's encouraging to know. This is, in fact, the infinite wisdom. This is the wisdom that you share in your chapter. If I had to ask you, what's the one takeaway from your chapter, one thought that will lead to transformative change within our healthcare system today, what might that be?
I love this question. For those of you that know me, you know that I'm a very innovative individual, but part of innovation is also not losing sight of keeping sometimes things very simple. And my answer to that question is very clear, very simple. Never lose sight of your people. People are our number one greatest asset, our greatest strength. Nurses are humans first. We need to remember that. We need to be engaging with our nurses, understanding what their needs are, understanding what their strengths are, leveraging their strengths, engaging in them with them so that they feel valued, they feel appreciated, they feel recognized for their contributions, what they can bring to the table, listening to them, hearing where their pain points are. We must never lose sight of our people. If we want to create change, we do that through the gifts of our nurses that we work with side by side, that we collaborate with, the teams that we lead. And so we would be doing ourselves a great disadvantage if we don't take the time to be intentional, to seek out input from our teams, understand what the needs are from our teams. And as leaders of all settings, whether it's clinical, academic, the community, the industry, we have to ensure that our workplace is safe, we have good working conditions, and that we have satisfied nurses who are working, and ultimately that leads to retention. So never lose sight of our people. They are our greatest asset. And I am so grateful for those that I have the privilege to work alongside with each and every day, because I know that it's through them that the real work of work happens.
Yeah, I think you're 100%, you nailed it. It is about the people. We know that nurses are the most trusted professionals. We've heard that year and year again. Yes, we're very proud of that concept, but that's the trust of the public. When our organizations, academic or clinical or beyond, also place that value on nurses and nursing, then we know that we're truly valued. Then we know that people count and that people come first.
Absolutely. And that invites discussion. That invites ideas to come forward. That's where the real innovation, engagement, retention in the workplace happens. You're solving for actual challenges. You're inviting your teams to be at the table when issues arise, and it just creates that culture of well-being. It really ties into healing healthcare, evidence-based strategies, the book. But never losing sight of our people. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, I think that that is so critical to our success. And these are the values that are going to keep nurses in nursing, that's going
right.
to eliminate the quiet quitting, that's going to keep them in the workforce and have them want to be a part of our healthcare systems, want to be on the provider side.
And I think individualizing, looking at it from an individual level, understanding what makes each person tick. We all have different needs. We're all at different
Of
places
course.
in our career. You look at the data across the United States, we know that we're losing a large share of nurses, 200,000 nurses that have left the profession that are under the age of 35. So being able to understand every nurse for who they are and where they are at, and applying different strategies that help to retain our nurses, engage with our nurses, and attract new nurses to the
Mhm.
pipeline. We need to be focusing on that.
Right. And you've heard me say many, many times that retention comes first. You cannot have a recruitment program unless you're focused on retention, because the goal is to keep them in the workforce,
That's
to keep them
correct.
coming and to keep them coming back, and to have them encourage their peers to also pursue careers in this honorable profession.
100%. Couldn't agree
Yeah.
with you more. And it does start there for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Well, like all good things, this too must come to an end. So unfortunately, we do need to come to a close and extend an invitation to our viewers to visit with us again next week as we interview another one of your peers, Kim Evans. We'll look forward to chatting with her as well. For now, Melissa, I want to thank you for being with us. I am so thrilled that you are a part of this book. Your message is so important, and your chapter brings such true wisdom that I cannot wait to get into the hands of everyone out there. And I know that you're eager to do so as well.
Well, thank you so much, Sharon. I appreciate working with you and Dina, the opportunity to contribute with everyone. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.